Good. My name is John Bendel. I'm Director of Community Investment at the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, and on behalf of everybody that made today possible, I want to welcome you to this event. And then some of you have done a tour, and we're going to do a tour afterwards as well. So hopefully some of you can stick around for that in addition. What a great space. So, the place where we are is just amazing, and I've talked to some of the people in the room that have made not only this space possible, but the neighborhood redevelopment or revitalization possible. I mean, this is what it's all about. It starts with a plan, a vision, and then bringing together common interests to change a place. And you can just not only see it, but you can feel it. So I felt it in this room. I haven't done the tour yet, but I'm sure I'm going to feel it when we do the tour as well. So let me introduce a few people in the room. First, I want to welcome Senator Coons is here. Senator Coons, welcome. Governor Markell. Senator or Governor, so I'll say Governor Markell.
That's not it. His was longer.
More clapping. All right, we have clap contest going on. So also we have a member of the Wilmington City Council here, Maria Cabrera. That was a good clap for her too. Carrie Gray, Managing Director of the Wilmington Renaissance Corporation. Gary Pulio, Executive Director of Interfaith Community Housing and Development. All right, and our hosts for today, so John Naughton. All right, so get that right. Jason Aviles.
Yes.
So this is their place. They opened in November, December, late last year, and I was talking to Jason a little bit and just said it's going amazing. So it's great to be here. Also want to recognize some people from the Federal Home Loan Bank. Glenn Brooks is in the back. He's on the board of directors of the Federal Home Loan Bank. We're going to hear from Winthrop Watson in a minute. He's our Chief Executive Officer and our President. So you'll hear from him in a minute. Allison is here from our Government Relations area. Peter Knight is here. John Foff. Wherever John Fox way in the back. All right. Oh yeah. All right. Anas Benetti is here. He is the State Director of the Housing Authority, and he also sits on the Affordable Housing Advisory Council for the Federal Home Loan Bank. So sorry. He's like 6'4". I'm surprised I missed that. All right, so why don't we get started? So the first speaker is Winthrop Watson, who, as I mentioned, is President and CEO of the Federal Home Loan Bank.
Thank you, and a special thanks to the Governor and Senator for joining me here and our team. The purpose of the Federal Home Loan Banks is to provide liquidity for housing and community development, and we do it through our members who are cooperative and our members are financial institutions. We have about 16 financial institutions in Delaware, and we lend or provide letters of credit to them of $37 billion. So it's a big scale to Delaware institutions. I've got one of the greatest jobs in the world because as an added piece, we're required to use 10% of our net income to support affordable housing. And that gives us a chance to make a difference in communities like this. And I just couldn't be more proud of our team and the communities we deal with to help make such a difference. And we're here to do that today. This particular location feels even more at home to me than that. My father was a poet, my mother is a visual artist, and so here I am helping housing in the community. It's just a tremendous feeling for me. I'm grateful to all of you for participating in it and being here with me today. Now I'd like to turn the stage over to Mark Hundley of Artisans Bank.
I'm going to keep this real short. What I will tell you is if you haven't taken the tour yet, I took it already. It's great, but you're going to freeze to death. So it's a little chilly out there. Having been involved in a number of these projects, coming up with the vision and the mission and getting everybody to collaborate is not an easy task. But the more difficult task is really getting the execution done. And I think you can be very proud of everybody involved, Carrie and Gary and the state and the city and everybody that has to be involved to make all this go together. I don't know how Senator Coons feels about being in Congress, but having been involved in some of these projects, I think that both have something to do with herding cats. You know, and trying to get everything together and make all that happen. We were very fortunate in this particular case to have teams of people in the local community that supported it and that have made these things happen. I'm just going to say one thing and then I'll get off the stage. I am from a tiny bank. I'm from a $500 million small local bank. There aren't very many of us left, and especially as old as we are. And we are unable, because of our size, to do a lot of the stuff that the national banks do and that the multi-state regional banks do. It's because of the revenue side. And a key part of us being able to be involved is our relationship with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. They do a terrific job, and can they raise their hands again? What I find best about working with our home loan bank, and there's different ones all around the country, is that they're required to do certain things, but our particular home loan bank that covers Delaware has a passion for this. And often these things are done because you have to do them, but the staff at the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh has a passion about getting things done, about making communities better, and we are extremely fortunate to be within their district. I want you to know from the small banks that not only do we understand that we're able to contribute through you, but also that we really value that relationship. So,
I think we should take him on the road with us. That was awesome. There are many artists in the room. I want to recognize two. James Watt. Right. He is the artist that has produced the wonderful work that you see on the walls here today. So if you want to catch him, I know he has business cards. You wouldn't mind selling a painting or two, would you?
I wouldn't have.
I just want to be sure that was okay. Also, we have Terrence Van here. So. Actually, when I Terrence to come on up, you want to say a few words?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Well, I just want to say thank you just for everyone for believing in the arts, number one. That's why we're all here, so that's a great thing, and I'm just glad that I could be a part of something as amazing as this, and seeing it grow is really a beautiful thing, especially from the artist's perspective. So to see everybody in this room as an artist really means a lot, and it really makes me feel proud that I can even contribute in any way to a movement like this, and to seeing a better Wilmington come out of all this. So I just want to say thank you again, and I look forward to see where everything goes. Thank you.
All right, next I want to invite up Carrie Gray from Wilmington Renaissance.
I haven't quite thought out, so this is my I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming today. This is a really important day, I think, to celebrate the housing and the Federal Home Loan Bank's and Artisans Bank's participation in that. It really is a project that takes a village, including support from the Strong Neighborhoods Fund, from the Delaware State Housing Authority, and the Governor's Downtown Development District Initiative. All of these things come together to create the perfect storm of activity that can then generate the results like we see in this room and out in the neighborhood. So we're really thrilled to have great partners in Interfaith and other organizations around the city, and then the downtown and the Creative District particularly. We have a great board of directors. I know Jed Hatfield from our board is still here, and Mike Gallagher was here earlier, and I think there are a few others that have been in and out. So it's a really dedicated board, and they're really supportive of everything that's been happening, not only in the downtown, but in the Creative District. And I also want to recognize Dr. Evan Malone. Evan is the CEO of NextFab. Hopefully you've been hearing the buzz about NextFab. And it's not signed, sealed, and delivered yet, but we will be announcing, I think, very soon, NextFab's location in the Creative District. So stay tuned for more. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm Peter Knight, and I'm Director of Government Relations for the bank. And the reason why the bank has somebody like me is we're a creature of federal statute. And I want to thank so many people in the room for recognizing what we do and providing support to us. And your remarks were just perfect and so important. And so let me introduce Senator Kuznow, who all of you know, I'm sure, very well. Before his 10 years of public service in Newcastle County, getting things done and making the trains run on time so well. He has a long-term commitment to affordable housing, very active right out of college, law school, and divinity school. So he's carried that passion forward, got elected to the Senate in 2010, and has risen up very quickly in seniority, which is a great thing in the Senate. And just want to thank him for all his support for the Home Loan Bank, which has been really, really important. So thank you, Senator.
Well, thank you, Peter, and thank you to the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh for everything that you do in our community and in our region. And Mark, you made a comment that perhaps sometimes projects like this feel like herding cats, and you wondered how that compared to serving in Congress. I'll tell you, serving in Congress feels like herding tigers. So, this is great. And the great thing about Delaware, as you commented, is that we have a community that actually connects, that is able and willing to come together and to finance and support and sustain projects like this that make a life-saving difference for whole communities. Whether it's the city government, the county government, or the state government, we've been blessed by leaders who really see the value in creating community and in supporting and sustaining the arts, but none so much as Governor Markell. This creative district, the incentives for the downtown district, the focus on the arts really has been a hallmark of Jack and Carla's leadership of our state. So would you please give Governor Markell in my brief decade in county government, it seemed like a brief decade, didn't it? One of the great joys I had was a chance to work with Gary Polio and the folks at Interfaith Housing. We had a lot of partners in trying to use the resources of CDBG dollars, home dollars, some of the resources that are available because of our financial services community to try and build safe, sanitary, decent, affordable housing. But Gary, thank you, and thank you to everybody at Interfaith for what you do. And the folks at Wilmington Renaissance, having the vision is a key piece of this. What Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh does isn't just, right, as Mark said, sign the checks and say, okay, fine, we'll support affordable housing because it's part of our federal mandate, but to actually help vision, to help pull together a new vision for our community, whether it's investing in blueprint communities, planning groups at the grassroots level, or it's partnering with folks like Wilmington Renaissance or city government to come up with a new creative district here for the city of Wilmington. And that takes folks who are willing to take some risk. So to John and Jason, thank you for hosting us here today. Thank you for taking that first step. As someone who spent some of my youngest years living in Manhattan, one of the things that was striking as neighborhoods changed, I was working with folks who were homeless, and often they regretted the fact that gentrification had totally changed neighborhoods in which they'd previously been resident. Often the sign that a neighborhood is moving from hopelessness to hope and positivity is you get a creative district. You get folks who are willing to look at a neighborhood differently. If you looked at this exact intersection over the last 20 years, and I was a worshiping member of a church that was a block and a half from here for 15 years, a church that burned to the ground when I was just a relatively new member, and then chose to rebuild right here and was a part of Quaker Hill and West Center City for a long time. Many folks would look at this neighborhood and see hopelessness and see absence. They'd see housing that was dilapidated, they'd see a lack of economic opportunity, they'd see a lack of optimism and energy, they'd see a real lack of a future. One of the things that artists help us do is to see the world differently. Degas once said, art isn't what you see, it's what you help others see. So thank you for being the visionary, the leaders, Terrence and others, the creators who help us see not just what's possible in this immediate neighborhood, but what we can and should build for each other in this community and this world. And with that, thank you all for being a part of what makes today exciting, and thank you for bringing a next generation contributor. One of the things I am so excited about your initiative is that the relationship between creative artists and the material world, those who help make and shape, has always been rich and complicated. And so one of the things about having a new maker community next to and part of a creative community is that I think we're going to see some really exciting things come out of this creative district. So let's make this the first of many celebrations of what happens in this immediate neighborhood. Thank you.
So next we have Governor Jack Markell to speak to us and help us celebrate today. And you all know he's finishing up his second term and done wonderful things for the state. Paul Calistro was telling me earlier that when I introduce you, and I always do what Paul says, is to reference this video that's gone viral. And Paul says if it has to do with your passion for ping pong. I said, no, Paul, it's table tennis.
So, thank you. First of all, Senator Coons used the exact Degas quote I was going to use. I'm sorry. I'm going to take your Degas and up you a Monet. I hope all of you appreciate the piece of art that Terrence and I have been working on. I don't know exactly what those white dots are within the cloud.
It's building.
It's building.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Absolutely.
And there's one other dignitary here who I wanted to acknowledge. She is way away from home, but Kathy McGinnis, who is a member of the Rehoboth City Commission, is right here. So I want to thank the folks from the Federal Home Loan Bank as well, and we are spending a lot of time together. We were together just a couple of weeks ago over at the Delaware Art Museum to celebrate some additional blueprint communities who are forming across the state, recognizing that the best community development does not come from on high, does not come from, you know, some academics, although they're involved, does not come from government. It comes from when people within the community take responsibility to envision a better community and figuring out together how are we going to make that happen. And the Federal Home Loans participation, along with the folks at the Steve Piquet, the folks at the University of Delaware, has been terrific. So I really do want to thank you all for being back here again so briefly. Senator Coons, did a great job thanking a lot of the folks who deserve to be thanked, and I want to second that. And we are really excited about all that's going on here. And I met a few half an hour ago with a group called Leadership Delaware. It's a leadership development class for adults from throughout the state. And one of the young women, I spent an hour with them, one of the young women asked about sort of changing perceptions of the city of Wilmington and what can we do. And my answer was, what we do is people like you have to take responsibility for changing perceptions. Because if you talk about all the amazing things that are going on, it's not to say we don't have work to do to improve some things going on in our city. Every place does, and we do as well. But the fact is, if you think about the level of investment of hundreds of millions of dollars that have been taking place over the last couple of years, the additional units opening up on Market Street, the new project that's they're going to be breaking ground just a couple blocks from here on the 220 to 230 new residential units. An arts community that punches way above its weight, and really the great work that Carrie and her team have been working on for a while now around the Creative District. We had a great celebration many months ago, not too far from here, in connection, I think, Gary, with you and others. There's some amazing stuff going on. We have to tell the story. And again, we have to recommit ourselves that we're going to fix the things that are broken. But a big part of fixing the things that are broken is like to celebrate guys like you or we're taking a risk, and you're saying, I see something different for this space. Cory Booker, who was one of Senator Coons' colleagues in the U.S. Senate, former mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and I was at an event once where people were asking about their definition of leadership. And so one guy gave this sort of really theoretical answer, and Cory Booker gave a different answer. He talked about his time in Europe, his time in Newark, and what he had learned from some of the people in Newark. And he went out, he was thinking about running for mayor, and he went out to a community, and there was one of the women who was sort of, working on improving the block. He went up to her, he says, I'm Cory Booker, and I'm I have this great education and great background, and I'm here to help. She said, you can't help me. He said, no, but I've got like an Ivy League degree, and I'm like, I can help you. And she said, really? And she said, what do you see over there? And he said, well, over there, I see a dilapidated building. And over there, I see a drug deal going down. She said, you can't help me. She said, when you look over there and you can see a community garden going in, and when you look over there and you can see some workforce development efforts happening, that's when you can help me. And I think that's really what you guys are all about. You're seeing stuff that other people don't see, and you're making it happen. And that's why we're here. So in the end, it's not really about what state government can do, or city government can do, or the Federal Home Loan Bank can do, or the, even having senators and banks. It starts with folks who have a different vision and who manage to bring the rest of us along. And that's what's happening. And so to all of you who are making that happen and who are bringing the rest of us along, I say thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're about ready to wrap up. And
I'm just predicting that this check is actually to be split by Terrence and me.
We can talk about that after.
Certainly, you have earned it, for sure. So, what's an event without a blown-up check? I'd like Gary to come up and just talk for 30 seconds about the project where these grant funds are going to go, and then we'll invite some others to join us.
Well, like the governor, I share the governor's disappointment because I was going to use the exact same quote. The did not quote that Senator Coons said, so we will all beat to the punch. We really appreciate the financial support from the Federal Home Loan Bank. We also always appreciate the support of Artisans Bank in terms of helping us sponsor our application. I think it's very clear that we've heard the message in everybody's words today that an effort like this, comprehensive community development work, is not the kind of work that a single entity organization can do. It takes strategic partnerships, it takes alliances, and I think we really have a really strong strategic partnership wrapped around the creative district evolution right now. A little bit about the project. We're looking at developing 12 units of affordable homeownership housing. We're targeting artists very heavily. We hope you guys continue to come out and take a look at the construction that goes along. Projects like this, in addition to the financial support from Federal Home Loan Bank, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Delaware State Housing Authority, NeighborWorks America. I mean, there's a laundry list of financial sponsors that are going to help to make this housing become a reality. But as I said, we were looking at 12 units of housing. We have 9 condominiums for artists, 3 single-family homes. Every unit will have dedicated studio space for artists. And if artists get in early enough, you can work with us and we can design the space for you. So there is some flexibility in the design and construction of the units, but you got to come early. We're very, very appreciative. We're just blown away by the support. Again, not only with the funders, but Federal Probation and Parole. They have been key for us in this endeavor as well, because one of the pieces that you don't see, is a very strong workforce development, economic development piece. One of the things you need to know is that every contractor that works for us has to hire local residents in the construction of these homes. And not only, this is kind of an interfaith thing, and not only does this directly apply to our affordable housing work in the creative district, but it applies to the other affordable housing work that we do throughout the county. And right now, we have, how many guys employed?
6.
6, hoping,
And 3 in the pipeline,
hoping-
waiting on L&I to clear.
hoping soon to become 8. This first class of 8, sometime late spring, will go through a financial education course where we will teach them basic financial skills. We'll teach them how to do their taxes next year and get them prepared, hopefully, for home ownership as well. So, this is really a very comprehensive initiative on everybody's part, and we really appreciate everybody's support in helping us to make this reality.
Senator, Governor, to come on up, and this is the photo.
See the middle, okay. Mark, go ahead.